And then there was a bunch of people in chat when we discussed this originally, you may remember, who were like, well, Devin, it's Redbull and all the guilds are signed up with them and they're going to pay them more money. It's like, fine, you can pay people more money, but equity is something that is earned over time that can't be paid with money. The thing with like Method Redbull is like, if you have a event that is legitimately created by a community and has like years and years of that equity built up with the community, it's like the exact same thing would happen if you had someone like from Smash and you had like a community run event and then somebody like, I don't know, let's say any like company like Monster came in and was like, this is the Monster event, you know, or this is the Red Bull event, and now we're gonna do Smash. Like, it won't get the same. That's a really weird thing. It's one of those things where, do you guys know the concept? It's not Deus Ex Machina. What is the original word for Ghost in the Machine? It's such a cool concept. In the context of like the idea of something existing as like almost its own culture and personality within a thing, but it doesn't have any sentience or intelligence. Okay, so this is something that I see in data a lot, at least for marketing, because there's a human psychology element. Oh my god, this is like such an interesting subject to me, and we're like already getting into this. There's a human psychology element to marketing that's impossible to measure. So whenever I'm sitting, people will try to measure it, but I guarantee you, whenever I'm sitting here and I'm like, why did this happen? I'll get 100 responses in Twitch chat. Well, it's because of the... No one really knows, though. Like, there's no way to know. And one thing that's really interesting is, like, why is it that... And this will be another one. Like, everybody will take a guess on this, but there's no real way to know. Which is, like, why do certain events take off, right? And then other events with, like, the same viewership and the exact same setup and structure just don't work. And it's like on Twitch, you'll have one Smash tournament on VG Bootcamp with the same production quality, get like 1,000 viewers. But then you'll have another one with the same players, same production quality, whatever, and it will get 30,000 viewers. And there are certain like pockets of this kind of thing that happen on Twitch. The Method Redbull thing is easier to understand, but the psychology of like psychology of content consumption is so weird. It's a super, super weird thing. Really, really interesting. And the idea is that like there is like some like personality to those things, that like, so like Method and Redbull. Method has like a culture and like an equity built up in World of Warcraft that makes a lot of people want to tune into it. And to some extent, this is just like existing for a long time is what works. Zeitgeist. Yeah, that's right. Very good. Sneezes. Excellent. Zeitgeist. Right. Ghost in the Machine. It's like there's a certain personality to it that gets built up just by existing for a really long time. Most of the content creators that are like really successful, most content in general is really successful, is just put in by the equity of it just being around a long enough time that you understand its sort of message, and then you start to like resonate with it. So Method has had the monopoly on World of Warcraft for ever. That it's been the thing. Like before it was even cool before you could even dream of getting paid to raid, like before you could even dream that people would watch you raid bosses, which in the 2000s, like the early 2000s, was a unimaginable concept. I would put that on the same, like when I was playing EverQuest 1 in 1999 and I was yelling at my guildmates because they couldn't do heal chains. If someone had come into my house and been like, Devin, in 10 years, you will be able to yell at your guildmates and 30 people will watch you do that on Twitch because nobody will watch EverQuest 1. But if you did it on a more popular game, they might. I'd be like, get the hell out of here. There is no way that is going to happen. It's unimaginable. There's no way. So Method was doing this before you could even get paid to do it. Once it became popular and it was like, oh, now it's like viewers will actually watch this. Then Red Bull tries to come in and be like, we're going to make our own tournament with blackjack and hookers and Red Bull. And Method's like, cool, but we built all the equity for this over years and years and years, and you built none. And then there was a bunch of people in chat when we discussed this originally, you may remember, who were like, well, Devin, it's Red Bull, and all the guilds are signed up with them, and they're going to pay them more money. It's like, fine, you can pay people more money, but equity is something that is earned over time that can't be paid with money. The very definition of equity is that it isn't directly transferable to money until later, right? Equity is the work you put in on a brand or a business or a culture that then later becomes transferable to value. It's not something that it starts with a value, or it starts with a very low value if it starts with a value. The example would be like when you start a business, you have 100% equity in that business, but your equity is not worth anything. Nobody's going to pay you anything for that. But if you keep working at it, eventually you get something like 100 Thieves, which just raised $35 million on what? Ideas and concepts and brand and all the things that equity entails. What did they trade for that $35 million for? They traded equity for that, right? In the same way, Method built up a massive equity in World of Warcraft by doing this for 14 years. So if Red Bull wants to come in, spend a bunch of money, hire some guilds, they may get some viewership, but they haven't earned it. They haven't earned that brand trust. Do you think something good could come out of them competing? I think something good comes out of competition always. Like one of my big criticisms of YouTube and Twitch is they have no real competitors. And this was really bad for Twitch for a while. It's bad for YouTube too. But for Twitch, it was like, man, Twitch just thought for about, go back 1 year, then go back 2 years. And that 2 years, Twitch felt like they could do anything. Before Amazon really started pushing on them for monetization models, Twitch felt like they could get away with anything. And they're not wrong because there's just no comparison whatsoever to any other platform compared to like Twitch. There's nobody even close. So Twitch feels like they don't have to compete, but Twitch's most terrifying competitor is actually Stadia. And Stadia is like the silent killer in the night that's going to get them if they don't react.